welcome back. We're here with Svea Herstar, who is a creative and fashion designer. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm very excited to dive deep into your not only your fashion and your journey there, but some personal experiences. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Easton. I'm super excited to be here and talk about all this stuff.
And it is your first podcast, so I'm honored to be your first
Yes.
one. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
that honor as well. So just to dive right into it, when you were kind of younger and you were exploring art and just the creative side of life, at what point did you know that you were wanting to gravitate toward art?
I would say so both my parents are artists, both of them are creatives. My dad, like they were contractors together. My dad did like more ceramics, like structural type of stuff. We were always like flipping houses really like
Okay.
creatively. And then my mom was like a art teacher on many levels and she had her degree in painting. And so I'm so blessed to have had the childhood that I had. It was, like, a lot of work because they made us go to the job sites and whatnot, but they always had us with them and always had us doing whatever, and they never really, like, had restrictions on what we could be involved in, and so I was always, like, making stuff. I was, like, writing songs. I was, you know, drawing, painting, crafting, origami, sewing. My mom taught me how to sew. So really, it's been a part of my life for my whole life. I had like a bit of a um, kind of family falling out near the end of high school, and then kind of shifted away from that to just kind of go in survival mode in a way for like the past 5 years or so. And like I'm definitely like power stepping my way out of that because of the foundation I've been building, but definitely shook me up, kind of took me away from that for a little bit, but found my love for it again about uh like 2 years ago. I started making clothes in my dorm room at my old college and knew I had to do that. So,
And
yeah.
how do you think being a a creative and an artist influenced you as a kid?
Oh, I think it gives you confidence, and gives you an outlet to sorta, like, always know that you have something good going on or something, like, that you can lean on for expression and, like, even if you don't know exactly what you're gonna do or where life is gonna take you, like, you can at least solve problems creatively and, once you kinda get out of whatever rut you're in, like, you can express off that, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it gives you definitely a different perspective of the world as well, of like
Mhm,
how you view things, how you kind
mhm.
of move through it, and
Yeah,
your art is also very unique.
mhm,
The pieces that you make are very different. Can you kind of talk about just like your like, art pieces and kind of what
mhm,
inspires you to make those different type um, of
mhm.
pieces?
I think bringing up your point kinda leans into that, like, the perspective that you carry as an artist is, like, there's always an idea in everything, and I think just whatever, like, pops into your head when you're looking at something or when you feel something, just, like, lean into it, and so I make clothing, mainly because it's very, like, obvious point of self-expression, like, out in the world, and it's, like, something that can exist and impact anybody that you, like, come across, like, no matter who it is, no matter where you are. I create kind of, like, based off of, um, the point of innate value in everything, and so, like, I've done stuff with trash or just, like, scrap material, finding a way to make something valuable that like people wouldn't know what to do with. And so just kind of jumping on the first idea you get whenever you're kind of experimenting with something is kind of how I create.
And at what point in your journey did you really start to feel comfortable to put your art out on social media, share
Mhm.
your journey, kind of just talk about like the thing that you were creating?
Alright, so I was making stuff in my dorm room, and I was going to another school previously for track and field, and, um, like, I was always, known on that campus for, wearing, whatever I wanted, and so I started to just, go further into that and make whatever I wanted, and, then I was like, "Alright, well, I'm kinda done with, track now. I'm kind of really interested in this way of living my life, and I always heard that art school was too expensive or whatever, and I just kind of applied with I went to this same concrete wall and took photos of the things I was making, and uh basement of the art department that was retired, and just kind of made a bunch of images of my work and applied to art school and made it in, and could afford it from a really big scholarship. And so I was honestly, from that point I kind of trusted my vision, and ability to make something work with anything. And I think that speaks to the innate kind of value in whatever you come across or make happen.
Where do you think that confidence comes from? Is it something that you've always had to express yourself and to kind of do what you feel called to do? Is it something that you've had to learn over the years? Where do you
Mhm.
think that comes from?
I think it comes from at first it was myself, but as I kept going, and also during this time started to develop a lot of faith and understanding and my views with that and how it's all connected to creativity. And so I'd say my confidence now comes from God. And just what I understand about that in my life and how I see the fruits of that commitment in my life. Yeah, I've definitely been a very talkative person from a young age, um, but there were times when I wasn't, and I had to find that again. And I think just having a kind of spiritual structure makes it less painful when you lose certain parts of yourself and know that that's really what defines you. It's not what you produce, or it's not what you are. What you do is not what you are. And so just finding a lot of peace and confidence in that as a person.
So you would say tapping into your faith and tapping into something deeper that you
Mhm.
believe in has helped you become an even better artist.
Mhm. I think so, because it's it's a I think having faith is an abundance mindset, and um or at least just a peaceful one, you know that you're not alone, and it 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 just kind of allows you to really do anything. And so you'll always have an idea. What you are learning, it will always matter in some way, even if it's now or down the road or never or whatever. It just it kind of just makes it easier to do stuff, create.
Is is there a part of yourself that you're still afraid to show the world with your art?
I would say, I really want to get better at, speaking in front of a camera, in a live sort of sense, and honestly, there's a lot of vulnerability that comes with just making and sharing art in general, and you have to, really just, do it and be there and make something and be proud of it and try to figure out how to tell people why they should believe in it or whatever, or why they should do it themselves. And so it feels like a lot of pressure, and I would say just general um kind of solidity in self is a constant um project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, especially if you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur. I think we are always continuously being like we can do more, we can do better, even to the point where we don't even acknowledge the things that we've accomplished because we're so focused on What can we improve? How do we get better?
Yeah.
And it is a consistent journey. And I also want to dive into, so you and your fiance, Corey.
He's my husband now.
Oh, oh my God! Congrats! That's awesome. I didn't
Thank
know that.
you.
Congrats! That's amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
you guys did a collab
Mhm.
with a hoodie that was made out of Scrabble pieces, and it took you 210 hours to create this, which is a
That's
long
correct.
time to spend with someone.
Uh-huh.
What was it like making an art piece with someone that you love?
It was really awesome. We were actually only like 2 weeks or so into dating at that point, and so we had a lot to talk about, and, we we were just, like, really patient with it, and, like, usually both him and I individually would, like, just rip a piece like that in, like, a week if we, like, just had the idea, but we actually spent, like, a lot of it being patient with each other and just having, like, conversation and taking it out to, like, do at the lake or whatever. It was a really, really awesome experience, and I would say, like, just really cool to be able to see, like, what he thinks about whenever he's making and kinda reflecting back on what I think and just seeing how, like, free-spirited both of us are, in collaboration, uh, was really awesome and really promising to, like, know that we knew from the start that it was, like, that was gonna be my person forever, and so it was just cool to see how well we work together.
That's wild. The fact that it was 2 weeks into dating.
Yeah, we had the idea, on a trip, like, we took a camping trip down a few hours away, and we were just talking we are always just talking about ideas, and, um, we were kinda laughing at the fact that, we were going on this trip after having talked for just, like or having officially been dating for a couple days, and we're like, "Let's just do this," or we thought about doing, like, a whole outfit of it, but it just
Oh my gosh.
210 hours is enough for that idea.
Is there anything that you learned about Corey that you didn't expect or know before you guys started the project?
Hmm. I would say he he's just like really really like patient and really I think it just emphasized things that I was already kind of like picking up on. I thought that he maybe like I had at this point I've been able to quit my job, but like I had work going on at the same time and he's just like a full blown like he had been just a full blown like at home designer, like just works from home and so I felt like I was like holding him back or something because we couldn't work on it like every second of every day, and he's just here like doing whatever else to like take up the time, making other pieces and stuff. And I just felt like it was a longer process than he would have liked, but just like how patient and kind he is was really emphasized during that whole process.
A lot of people that are in the dating scene or are looking for their soulmate or that person settle. And they settle for a
Mm,
feeling, they settle because they're insecure, they settle because they're afraid of uncertainty. Can you kind of talk about your process
mm,
or just the journey of maybe you having to wait to find your person or
mhm,
you having to maybe sacrifice things to find your person? Can you kind of talk about like what it was like to find that person that you knew that you were going to be with
mhm.
for your whole life?
Yeah, so honestly, like leading up to my me and Corey meeting, I had made a series of like really big decisions. Just like committing kind of like to waiting for the right person and knowing that like the people I had been with before like weren't the right one. And so like really being brave and kind of what I felt in my intuition and in my gut and like, I think just, like, anything in life, just be brave enough not to settle, like, and that's the big faith part for me is, like, knowing that when you feel something and whether it's, like, you're getting communication from a higher power, like, through prayer or, like, really whatever works for you or just, like, by existing and having conversations in your head and stuff, have faith that like your intuition has your best interest, and really the answer you get in your heart will kind of carry you to the right thing. And so yeah, like I made some big decisions that kind of showed myself and God that I was like serious about protecting my heart and my situation and my future and stuff. And so I um made a lot of big changes and a lot of big commitments to myself, and then like literally such a magical timing on everything, like down to the minute of uh me and Corey, like Corey sending me a message if I have anything going on or anything. And so I think that was like immediate sign that like that was the right thing to do, is to always like listen to your heart and like commit to it. And like if you do that like fully, it'll be rewarded in some way. Even if like you don't find someone right then, it'll like happen because you leave the space for that.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, by the way, because
Uh-huh.
I know that could be sometimes deep for people.
Mhm.
So now I want to dive into some of your personal spiritual side of stuff.
Mhm.
To start off, I'm going to read you a quote that you had on your Instagram page. I believe this was back in 2024 or
Okay.
on 2025. You said, "The energy this gives me keeps me up at night because I haven't found a single thing I love to do more than creating wearable art. It is an
I
endless
know.
cycle of self-sustain.
Wow.
What do you think your soul is trying to say through your work that your mouth cannot?"
That's a great question, Easton. I think I know what post you're talking about too. It was like um one of the first like kind of projects I did of like photographing myself and my artwork, calling it Herstar, kind of starting to make it something. I think that I think that my art, well, it's kind of funny because my mouth would be saying it right now, but my art and my work and me developing this brand is kind of like just like a further physical proof of turning, like making something, creating something out of what's not there yet, or using your resources and just kind of just like always creating something with it. I think is how my art kind of relates to that philosophy. I like to kind of build a philosophy around like why I'm making, and ultimately I keep on landing on like anything can be something. Really anything anything is possible. Like I've been starving before. I felt like I had no one before. I have, physically had no one before. I've like just been totally down. But like you can always create something. You can always like fight your way back up. You can always like find something awesome in that. And I found like God during the times where all of that stuff was happening. So like that's why it's everything to me. Um because it like literally like saved me and gave me some direction, a solid direction of passion. So, yeah.
I love it. I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
How do you surrender to yourself and to the uncertainty of life and just live knowing that there is trust? Like how you mentioned that there's God and you mentioned that you do believe in a higher power, but what does that actually l- look like for you to
Mhm.
surrender yourself to that?
I think like learning to understand it. I found a lot of truth in that even before I started going to church by myself. I found a lot of truth in that by just like kind of like meditating and sitting outside for like hours on end. This was during a time where I was like really like down bad. I was like sitting outside for hours on end, just like trying to find something. And I found God through like the things I was observing, and then just continually tried to like find what felt right in regard to that, about learning more about it. Um, no matter what it was, like now I have landed on, a firmer foundation and understanding of like God in my eyes, but like um before before that it's just like seeking it and seeking to understand it and seeking to understand like purpose by just like doing things. I think you have to like wake up and do things regardless, and so like might as well try to like find some sense or like or divinity in it, you know? Like we all have a life here, and um I would say just like waking up with the intent to like do my best and figure out why I woke up today is like what guides me.
It's beautiful. Well, those are all the questions I have for you.
Mhm.
How can people find you, and what is one thing you want to leave people with?
You can find me on Instagram at Svea Herstar, and um, that's really about it. I don't go on TikTok anymore, but I I I guess just like believe in yourself and know that like you have a reason to be here. You have potential in whatever thing you are called to do. You even if you're like I don't know, you work in a grocery store or you work at a fast food restaurant or you whatever it is you're doing with your career, whether you're an entrepreneur or whatever like opportunities you've been given in life, just know that like you have a really valuable place in that and you can create something out of nothing.
Thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful, and thank you for coming on the podcast. I
Thank you,
I
Ethan.
loved how we dove into not only your art but some of the spiritual aspects of it, and um, I do think this will help other artists that are looking to get into art and express themselves. So thank
Mhm.
you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just do it. Just do your art, do your stuff.